Good morning is 7:04 on this Thursday, January 23rd. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Here we are on a Thursday. It is still cold, but a little bit warmer than yesterday and the day before. We welcome you to Coleman and Company. And each Thursday at this time, we feature Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road. We've got Paul, we got Ronnie here today. Paul Tubbs, dealer operations manager, and Ronnie Kelly in sales. Paul, good morning.
Good morning.
And Ronnie Kelly, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, Ronnie, we'll start with you here because being in sales, I know you like for the weather to warm up a little bit. You probably got more people going to come in and look at a car today.
Yes, we want it to warm up. We're glad that it's warming up because when it's real cold, a lot of times people won't come out. Yeah. But we had to get them in. A lot of construction workers will come in and look at automobiles, and we do have a great selection of vehicles. I had a man out the other day, and it was real cold. He said, man, I got to go back inside. It's cold. But so we're hoping this temperature will warm up, and we still got a lot of great deals waiting on the customers to come in.
Yeah, one of the good things about having service there, it's warm inside, Paul.
Well, yeah, with our new facility, it's really nice that we've got that service drive where they can actually pull in. And one thing we try to do, and when it's very cold, is we'll let them pull a vehicle in and let a customer look at it. That service drive that we got, it's got heat and stuff like that. So, at our old facility, you would have to pull up and we would go outside, and it kind of makes it a little nicer when you got a heated environment where you can actually write the vehicle up inside and do things like that. And if sales needs to pull a vehicle in there when the weather, it's been absolutely ridiculous the last few days. I'm not a big fan of cold weather.
Well, I got an idea. Business is going to pick up a little bit today and even more tomorrow as it gets a little bit warmer.
Yeah, it is. And, the weather's going to get a lot better, which actually helps business and helps us being able to get people out and do things. But, one thing that I always talk about is the pickup and delivery. If there's something you don't want to get out in the cold, if you want us to come get your vehicle and service it, just call Shelly over at Bates Ford. We'll come get it and bear the cold, come get your car and bring it back over and service it.
That's really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, that's a great thing that Ford's actually implemented where, people would have to, take a Saturday or take time off work and get their vehicle serviced. And nowadays they can actually come and give us a call. We can actually come to wherever you work or your house, pick it up. It does a little text message system, tells you we're on the way, tells you we're there to pick it up. We'll get the vehicle. It tells you it's back at Bates Ford. Once we get it serviced and everything, it lets you know that we're going to bring the vehicle back to you. And it's a really good system.
Well, Ronnie, I don't think you've mentioned F-150 this morning. Your day's lost if you don't talk about the Ford F-150.
Right, the F-150, again, we got a great selection of those in any color make that you want, a XLT, a Lariat, or whatever. We have them on the lot. I was out the other day looking at some vehicles, and I told the guys, I got the vehicle you want. We just got to go back here and look for it because we know it's there, and it was. Yep. So it's a blessing that we have those vehicles, and we have a great selection of used vehicles also. So if you have any used vehicles, come on down to Bates Ford.
Well, you have to have a little bit of everything because everybody doesn't necessarily want, maybe they want, but can't afford a new one. And then, of course, there are those who just want something in the $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 range.
Yeah, we have those vehicles around there. And again, if you come in and you sit down and talk with a salesperson, we'll find those vehicles because we got them on the lot. We got them.
Well, Paul, I know you want to mention oil changes, service, also your tires and batteries. That's just part of being out here almost.
Right, and that's one of the good things about our new facility is that it's so much bigger. And oil changes, we have a lot of people call us. They've called area other dealers, and they're a week, 2 weeks out. Oil changes, we do them on first come first served basis, so you don't have to have an appointment. Just pull into the service drive, pull around to the front of the interstate over, and you'll see the service drive. You can pull right in. Somebody will come out, write you up. We'll get it right on it. We've got 12 guys that does our oil changes, brakes, and batteries. That's kind of one thing that we did a lot different from our older facility. We only had 2 or 3 bays where we could do quick service. Here at the new facility, we've got 12 bays, so we can actually get you took care of. You can come in and wait. We've got a nice new lounge area with popcorn, TV. There's a workstation where if you want to do some work, I have a lot of customers that'll come in and bring their computer and actually work. Wi-Fi's hooked up so you can get there, do your work. We can get your vehicle serviced and get you right out on the road.
Well, that's all of that going for you, of course, at Bates Ford. Did I say the dealer that'll trade for anything it don't eat? I don't think it did, but that's still a strong slogan for you.
Yeah, and that's something Tony lives by. If you got something you want to turn into cash, you got an RV, boat, motorhome. We've got a tractor right now. We've got several other things that people have actually traded in. So if you got something that you got sitting around that you're not using and you want to turn it into cash, certainly bring it to Bates Ford. We'll put a number on it and see if we can't do some business. If you don't want to trade for a vehicle, we'll certainly try to see if we can buy it outright.
All right. I guess all that we're almost 10 after, so keep all this in mind. Remember, it's Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road, the dealer to trade for anything you don't eat. And Paul, you and Ronnie, stay warm, stay safe. We'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. 10 minutes after the hour, and Jason Baird, our fire chief, is present this morning, Lebanon Fire Chief, and I think we've got a lot to talk about. It's been a few weeks since I've seen you, Chief. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You were actually here before me, making a few notes. What'd you do? Were you doing all that on your phone, or did you have a piece? I thought you had a piece of paper.
Well, I was writing my name and date in your book, and then I was on my phone also. I think I'd be lost without it. I keep notes in my phone and look back and refresh my memory and all those things. I have learned since I've gotten older, I have to write stuff down because I will forget.
How long have you been fire chief?
I've been almost 3 years.
Okay.
Almost 3 years. I've been at the department I'm working on year 37, so it's been a long time. I've seen a lot of things.
Well, what's it been like with the colder weather this week?
It's been rough. Everybody thinks the heat, wearing all that fire gear and fighting fire, and that is tough too. But the cold weather gives us some limitations. We have to plan, like if it's, I've got to talk with Chief Justice. They've got a plan set up for us if we have a working structure fire that, when we do fight fire, our largest extinguishing agent is water. So we've got a plan in place with a sand truck that'll come out to us, and because a lot of water hits the ground when we're fighting fire, especially around the fire engine. So we'll put we had one of our employees actually slipped on some ice last year and missed some time off work with a knee injury. But in this time too, honestly, when we hear of cold spell coming, I'll call Lebanon Chemical honestly and get a count of how many squeegees they've got, and I almost buy them out every year. But one thing that does happen is we'll have a lot of facilities that have sprinkler systems that has them not in heated areas, and they'll freeze, and then when they start thawing out, they'll bust. And unfortunately, a lot of times these things are located in the attic area where they freeze. And a lot of your assisted living areas and things like that, the complexes are, some of them's 3-story buildings, and we'll get a call of water coming out of my ceiling or through my ceiling, and it's coming from the attic. So, and it takes a long time. Even when we cut the water off, the grid's got to drain itself out, and it's catastrophic, honestly. And we've had probably 3 to 4 already, and they were at assisted living complexes, and but we try to prepare for that scenario, and we'll stay with them as long as we can and get as much water out of the building and get everybody rehomed into a dry place and those type things. But it's really rough on our equipment. We have to plan for. It's hard to believe that a fire engine can freeze up from the time it comes out of the station to it gets on scene, but it actually can. It can freeze up, and then we don't have any water at that point. So. We had a bad structure fire last year. It was like 2 or 3 degrees, and we went to hook to a hydrant, and the stem broke on it because it was froze up. We went to the next hydrant at the other end of the street. It broke. So we basically was fighting fire, shuttling water. Our fire engines have two of them's got like 450 gallons. The other one's got a 1,000-gallon tank on them. So we're able to put water out of one engine to another for a while, but it's rough on us, the cold weather, and especially if we get snow and ice, because there's some spots in this city that are pretty rough to get to, and we actually put chains on our tires through that process. So that's difficult too.
One. Hopefully, have a fairly short answer here, but just wondering. You were talking about the attic situation in some of these facilities. Is there any way to prevent that?
There is. They can put heat in their attic, and a lot of times, after the first time it freezes and busts, they find ways to get around it. Hopefully, it's not draining the system so it don't bust again. We definitely don't want to. We don't want that to happen for sure, but most of the time they'll put heat in their attic, and we can isolate those areas where it's froze and busted, and then we can figure out how we're going to heat that area and keep it from happening again. But sometimes we'll have the same locations 2 or 3 times a year, and so that's unfortunate. I've had some places that it would bust and it would happen in like 3 or 4 different places inside the building. It is absolutely devastating when you have water coming through your light fixtures. That's what we had yesterday. We've got to turn the power off to the entire building, and we've got to start all over. We got to get all these folks a place to go, and it's very tough to work through those scenarios.
Okay, time for us to take a break. Fire Chief Jason Baird is here, and more coming up on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford, get a battery installed in most vehicles. $199.95. Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's gotten a little bit heavier in the last few minutes on 24 westbound up through the Antioch area. All that traffic building in from Rutherford County into Davidson County as it builds there. I-24 at Bell Road. It's trying its best to pick up 65 south here at Trinity Lane. Still looks good coming down from the top of the Ellington Parkway down to the bottom there at Spring Street. Hey, whether you need a new roof repair, roof inspection, call Independent Roofing Specialists today. Check out their website, irsroofs.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Cumberland Phoenix Baseball is back in action and chasing another Mid-South Conference championship with a big 50-game schedule, including a whopping 35 home games. That gives Phoenix fans plenty of chances to catch a game or two at Woody Hunt Stadium, also known as the Six, where all U.S. military veterans get in free. You can hear every game on these radio stations or on GoCumberlandAthletics.com. The season starts on Saturday, February 1st and Sunday, February 2nd. We'll see you at the Six.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
We continue here. Thanks for joining us on Thursday morning, and Fire Chief Jason Baird. I know you've got a lot more you've got to offer us today. We appreciate you being with us, and take it away.
All right, I do have a story I want to share with everybody, and I'm not going to really name who it is because a lot of your listeners are going to know this family. But at the end, I will say who it was. But just a few short days ago, a couple weeks ago, maybe, I got a call from a friend and said, I got a problem. And I said, well, I'm in that business. What you got? And he said, my carbon monoxide detector's going off. And I said, okay. So we began a process of determining what all he had in his house on gas and things like that. Does he have an attached garage? Does car exhaust get into the house? And all those things. And he quickly knew, and you'd be surprised how many people, when it comes down to it, what electric appliances they have versus what do they have on gas. And but he quickly said, my gas logs, my water heater, my heat and air unit, all these type things he had on gas. And so, all right, I said, well, let me send an engine company over and let's get ahead of this. And so we get over there, and they start running the tester, and the missus of the house is there too. And that was the first thing I asked him. I said, "Who's in the house?" He told me, and I said, "Well, we need to make sure we can get them out and until we figure out what we got." So they start going through with the meter, and the meter is reading extremely high, and so we did have a carbon monoxide event. And so the first thing they do is try to isolate it, and the missus of the house is there, and one thing about the missus, they are very acute of the household, and so she quickly navigated us through everything that had gas to it, and we ventilated after we couldn't determine exactly where it was coming from, so we just aired the house out, and then we started over again, and it quickly started showing the meter again. And so as we started working our way through it, there were some areas where it was more concentrated, and that's why it's so important that we know what do you have on gas. If we can isolate it to a garage hot water heater or to your gas logs or things like that. But they were able to pretty quickly isolate it to the bedroom and to the bathroom, the bathroom adjacent to the bedroom. And so the only way they could be getting carbon monoxide in those areas was coming through the heat and air unit. And so we started looking at some of that and started getting our numbers together and all those things. And it was determined that the heat and air unit just was not burning clean. It wasn't burning the propane up cleanly. And it was malfunctioning, and it was creating the gas carbon monoxide. So when this happened, they started thinking back to what they had been going through. Well, the last week they had been symptomatic of carbon monoxide and woke up with headaches, got headaches through the day, and those type things, and was experiencing carbon monoxide poisoning basically inside their home. They had carbon monoxide detectors, but it all depends. There's so many factors where you place your detector. Does your house ventilate well? All these type things of exactly why the detector had not gone off yet. Because carbon monoxide is cumulative. It will build and build and build and build. If you have a real high ceiling in your bedroom or something, and a real low ceiling in the adjacent bathroom, your bathroom's going to have more concentrated carbon monoxide than what your bedroom would. And so we started looking at those things, and the carbon monoxide was on those detectors were on the ceiling, which is not all wrong. But if you have a variation in ceiling height, it can affect whether or not those detectors will go off. We see a lot of detectors that are plugged into wall outlets, and the recommendation is to have them about 5 foot, about eye level is what they recommend. And so when we determined what was going on in the carbon monoxide, and they did have a problem, it scared the homeowner, the family that was in this home. And to be honest with you, I'll go ahead and tell you, it was the City of Lebanon Mayor Rick Bell and Miss Nicole. And Miss Nicole was very acute on her household. And so, a rogue smell come through a house, the female that tends the household is immediately, what is that? And the man's like, we don't pay any attention to it. But it really, really upset her. And I'll be honest with you, she's very justified. Had their bedroom been where their bathroom was, which probably had a lower ceiling in there, some things like that contributed to it, it would have been a different outcome possibly. So I want to encourage everyone to make sure you've got carbon monoxide detectors. They went through this for about a week of having these headaches, unexplainable headaches, and they had reached symptomatically, if they'd called and said we've had these symptoms, that we probably would have responded with an ambulance. I mean, it had gotten to that point. When you have pets in your home, they're going through all that too, and but it really shook up Miss Nicole, and rightfully so, and it did Rick too. And everybody knows Rick, the City of Lebanon Mayor, and Miss Nicole, and it gave me an opportunity to make sure in your household you know what appliances you have running off of gas or something like that. It's real easy for us to isolate it if you have, like my home, I only have gas on my gas logs, that's it. So I can isolate that very quickly. Mm-hmm. But when you have a heat and air unit that's not processing properly, and he was burning propane, so it wasn't burning clean, and so basically it was putting carbon monoxide throughout the entire home. I think why it was congested so much in their bedroom and their bathroom was, I think their air unit was right outside their bedroom, and I think they had the first vents off the air unit, and that's why it was concentrated so thick right there in those areas. But it was a learning experience for them, and I'll be honest with you, give me an opportunity, because everybody knows the mayor, and it gave me a story to share that you need to check and have carbon monoxide detectors. And Ms. Nicole was concerned about the placement of hers. And, if you got a low ceiling in your bathroom and a high ceiling in your bedroom, and your house ventilates well, obviously if you had a detector in your bathroom, you're going to get a notification a lot quicker. Not so much in the bedroom. And so be aware of where your carbon monoxide detectors are at. Know what you have in your home that's on gas, your appliances and things like that, and that way you can be cognizant of carbon monoxide.
How in new homes that are constructed, are they usually come with that?
They do, and some of the things that's difficult in that scenario is they're usually wired together, it's daisy chain throughout the house. So when one detector goes off, and rightfully so, every one of them in the house goes off, which is great for you as a homeowner, and it's difficult for us as a firefighter to determine exactly what the problem is. Luckily for us in this scenario, one of the worst feelings in the world is for us to go to a call if I smell something but I don't know where it's coming from. And I hate those calls. Normally we can isolate them and figure out where it's at through a system of questions and things like that, and timing and knowing when they may have turned their heat on. The first time you turn the heat on, you're always going to have a burning smell in your home. Everybody kind of goes through that. And the biggest problem too, when the heat kicks on the first time, if there's any wall heaters and things, they put furniture in front of them through the summer and those things. But when all the detectors go off, then we have to start asking the questions. What do you have in your home that is on gas? And a lot of times we'll get a something rogue that'll come through and it'll set the detector off. We can ventilate the home and get clean air in there, and then the system will reset, and then we don't have any other problems. There's no readings anywhere.
Do older homes, people that use gas, do they necessarily have these?
They do not.
No,
they do not. Carbon monoxide was not a big thing. I mean, back in those days, we would burn kerosene heaters into in our living rooms, and you literally would smell kerosene and those type things. So, like I said, when I say things, I say like it's dramatic, but I pull through 37 years worth of experiencing these things. But I've had a lot of fires in homes that when we had kerosene heaters, and my goodness, what people plug up to an extension cord is unbelievable. We went through these lithium batteries. Those things, we had several fires through lithium batteries. Those lava lights, the kids liked so much that those things would get over 100 degrees in the bedrooms, and it was just so. I think as a society, we've gotten more cognizant of carbon monoxide and those gases. But us as a department, we had to grow too. We didn't have meters for a long time. We're just now getting in the process of, because they're expensive and you have to bump test them every single day, and you have to recalibrate them at least once a year. So and you have to have the gas in hand to test the gas to test it. So we actually have the gas in a container, and that's how we check the gas meters. But I'm really glad I got that phone call. I mean, they go through, you go through the fact of I don't want my neighbors to see a fire engine at my house. If you come, please don't run lights and sirens. All those type things. And I think Rick at first was a little reserved. I don't think Miss Nicole was. I think she was very concerned, rightfully so. She was dead on. I mean, she was dead on with this. And I had some meetings with the mayor later in the day that got canceled because he was trying to get this thing fixed. And the last I heard, they still hadn't got it fixed, but they had got a workaround. The heat and air unit guy came out there and found the part that was not working properly.
All right, we got a couple of minutes here. What should people that maybe have older homes who don't have those detectors? What's the best? And I'm wondering how expensive all that is.
They're not bad. They used to be when they first came out. They were expensive, but now they're not. And basically, they just plug in an outlet. And if you get one, two that gets in the outlet, those things are easier to reset because you will sometime have a rogue flow of carbon monoxide, and that detector will pick it up, which is 100% what it's supposed to do, especially if it's close to an attached garage or something like that. You'll get exhaust from a car or something may set it off. Basically, you unplug it, walk outside, and just fan it in the air 2 or 3 times, come back and plug it back up again, and then if it goes off again, we got a problem. Mm-hmm. And if it resets, then we know everything's good. But we do call out Lebanon City Gas Department on all these type calls too. So there's a lot of resources for the individual when these happens.
Okay, now you said not too expensive. Can you give me a price range or some idea?
I think I would bet you could buy one for sure less than $20.
Oh, okay.
But it's we see them a lot now. It is very common because I think we have more appliances now run off natural gas. carbon monoxide will scare you. Miss Nicole will never forget this, and Miss Nicole will never let Rick forget this either. So, but they will forever be. They'll be an advocate for carbon monoxide detectors, and I'll be honest with you. When I started hearing about the numbers and the week's worth of headaches that they were trying to figure out why it was happening, that's concerning.
Yeah.
And everybody can relate to that scenario, honestly. So, and everybody knows the mayor, Miss Nicole, and these things are not demographically. It doesn't matter if you're on the north side, south side, east side, west side of town. There's no discrimination. It doesn't matter who you are. These things can affect each and every one of us, for sure.
Well, thanks for this story this morning and this warning, and hopefully, if people need detectors, they can get them. I'm glad to hear they're not so expensive, because most anybody could afford this and should, if they don't already have them. And if you don't know whether you have them or not, you need to find out, don't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, thanks so much for being with us today. Jason Baird, our fire chief for the city of Lebanon. We'll see you next time, whenever that is.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That's part one of Coleman and Company. We've got more, and hope you'll keep it right here, FM 98.9.
All right, let's see what's happening on the roadways. And this update, want to thank our friends at Absolute Kubota. They have a deal designed to keep you ahead of schedule. Check out the #1 selling compact excavator plus 0% financing. It's going on now until the end of the year. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's got a little bit heavier the last few minutes coming in from Wilson County into Hermitage Donaldson as it starts to load up with more volume on 24 westbound at Bell Road coming in there from Murfreesboro, Rutherford County. It's gotten heavier down through Millersville just in the last few minutes on 65 southbound coming past Bethel Road. Hey, when you need dependable towing, make sure you call STR Towing and Recovery here in Middle Tennessee. Check out their website, strtow.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hey, this is Paul with Bates Ford, and I've got some exciting news for you. Bates Ford's moved into our new location at 1780 Franklin Road. That's right, Bates Ford's at 1780 Franklin Road, just off Hartman Drive and Interstate 40. We've got a much larger selection of vehicles to choose from, a state-of-the-art double-sized service department. So come see us at 1780 Franklin Road. That's Bates Ford, 615-444-8221. Bates Ford, the dealer will trade for anything that don't eat.
And now, a moment of silence to remember our dear friend.
Sorry. Oh, man. Life can be uncomfortable. Your home doesn't have to be. With a wide range of air conditioners, furnaces, and heat pumps, Rheem makes it easy to feel comfortable, even when you can't be comfortable.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
We'll have partly cloudy skies and a little bit warmer conditions for today. Highs will be in the lower 40s. Partly cloudy tonight, lows between 15 and 20. And then another cold front comes in on Friday. We stay partly cloudy but colder, highs in the mid-30s. This weather forecast brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. With your Severe View forecast, I'm Drew Richards.
Welcome you to part two of Coleman and Company. It's a Thursday morning, and Thursdays at this time we talk about A.G. and Johnson Realty and Auction, 728 West Main Street here in Lebanon, and everybody should know that phone number, but if you don't, 615-444-0909. We usually have Jay White and Helene Singer Cash in here, one or the other, or both, but this morning, I think they may have forgotten us. But anyway, we'll remind you that if you're going to have an auction, you want to consider them because they have auctions nearly every week throughout the year. A little bit slower in the wintertime. But if you're considering that as a way to dispose of some property that you no longer want, an auction might be just what you need, and you can call that number 615-444-0909, 0909, not 0909. That's what we say, 444-0909. Somebody will be happy to explain the ins and outs, and it might be that you just want to list your home with them. But whatever decision you make, they're there to help you and give you the information that you need to make a good, intelligent decision. A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction has been in business, community trusted since 1977. And Jay White hasn't been there that long, but Jim Agee has, and he's still affiliated with them. Helene Cash came along, and she's there to assist along with a number of other people. And so they have been voted best of Wilson County many times. They've been voted the best auction firm, and Jay White has even been voted best auctioneer, and they've been voted best real estate firm. So keep them in mind when it's time for real estate business, whether auction or otherwise. And we just hope that you'll keep listening and pay attention to their auctions. I know they've got another one coming up. I think it is next week. And I'm sorry I don't have the flyer in front of me to talk about it. But A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction, they're on West Main Street. All right, this morning we're going to have somewhat of a controversial subject to talk about. When I mention school vouchers, most people have an idea, and they're either for it or against it. And it's something that is about to be discussed in our legislature. And I've had... in fact, let me just say that Joni Cochran called me recently, or actually sent me an email, and wanted to be on the radio to tell her opinion, her side of this, and invited her to come today. And hopefully she's going to be with us in a few minutes. But Erin Moore is with us this morning. Erin, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, we welcome you to our program, and I'm trying to sort of set the stage here as best I can. The subject pretty much is going to be school vouchers, and we know that Governor Lee has called a special session of the legislature, which is supposed to be, it's, I think, scheduled to be 3 days long, perhaps. Next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I believe is right. But anyway, I think our discussion is timely here that we can do this morning. And let me just, this, as far as I know, is the first time I have met you. I don't think you've been on the program before.
I have not, but I do enjoy your work.
Well, I after 31 years, I'll be honest, I don't remember everybody, but we're certainly glad to have you today. Before we get started in this discussion necessarily, tell me just a little bit about yourself, if you will.
Okay, I'm a parent first and foremost. I have two kids here in the schools in Wilson County. I'm a transplant, but I have been here for 13 years, so I consider this to be my hometown. It's definitely my
transplant from where?
From multiple places, actually. I've made my way across the country: New York, Illinois, and Nevada.
Okay.
But my parents were both Navy, so we have family everywhere. This is definitely my hometown, and this is my kids' hometown.
Okay, you're concerned about this, no doubt. And I wish I knew a little bit more, maybe to ask some more intelligent questions or get a little more more in-depth discussion or whatever. But it seems like my observation, there's not a lot of middle ground here. People either for it or against it. And as you understand it, what are we talking about with school vouchers?
Well, I think the way it's being marketed is that it is to help offset the cost of sending your child to private school or a homeschool collective. But I I think that there's been some misrepresentation in who would actually be able to take advantage of the program. That is supposed to be able to help maybe disadvantaged children get out of schools that are not meeting their needs. Unfortunately, the way that it is actually set up, it won't help homeschool parents who homeschool their own children. If you haven't played any major part in your child's education, you would not qualify for this. And as far as addressing children from low-income homes, the way it's set up is that children in the first year, children who come from homes with 300% of the free and reduced lunch qualification, so a household income that is 300% of free and reduced lunch would qualify first. Unfortunately, that puts the marker at about $172,000 income for a family of four, which is not exactly low income and is actually way above the median income for most Tennesseans.
What's your biggest concern or your biggest objection to what is being proposed?
Actually, my biggest objection comes as a tax dollar or as a taxpayer who supports public education. This is going to cost us as taxpayers two times what we normally pay for each individual student, because in order to protect themselves from the argument that this is going to take tax dollars from public education, they've decided instead to fund each student that accepts a voucher twice. So the public schools, for now, would still get the money that they were getting for that student, and then they would also pay the voucher to the private school entity. So as taxpayers, we are now paying twice as much for those students. Also, as taxpayers, we're not getting the same benefit. We, as a society, have decided that public education benefits the larger community. And so that is why we all contribute to pay for it, right? That we think every child should have an education. So in that way, those dollars don't belong to the individual family. They belong to all of the people who have contributed to it. So that includes teenagers with their first job. That includes businesses that pay their taxes. That includes people who never had kids, never will have kids, or people who kids are no longer school age. Like, all of those people contribute to the tax dollars that pay for each individual student. So when you take that money that goes into a publicly accountable entity like our public school systems and give them to families to pick individually how they're going to spend those dollars, $7,000 per student. That's a large amount of money that shouldn't be accountable to one family. That should be accountable to the taxpayers at large. And we also just don't get the same benefits. Our public schools are required to teach certain things. They're required to offer certain things. They're required to offer counseling, special education, CTE programs. They're required to offer art and music. They're required to offer Black history, Tennessee history. We've public health issues. These are physical education. These are all things that are required in a public school that benefit the community at large, that benefit our children, that benefit the community. When our children are taught these things, they're taught how to take care of themselves, they're taught how to take care of their community. And those the same requirements, just they're not there for private schools. And the private schools don't want the government to be stepping into that role.
I know you had a meeting. It's been several Mondays ago now, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think it was in January, though. And it was, I think, pretty well attended. I understand you were there, I believe.
I was there, yes.
And Joni Cochran, who hopefully will join us later, was there, and a lot of other people. Was that a good meeting?
I felt that our school board members did a very good job of bringing up concerns that they had with the voucher bills, and they seemed pretty unanimously. They're voting tonight, on a resolution, but they seemed pretty unanimously against the voucher bill as it stands.
Well, I know the county commission Tuesday night had a resolution, or anyway, they voted to oppose this, and according to Mike Jennings yesterday, it was unanimous. Unanimously opposed. You have any feeling for what's going to happen in this special session?
Well, I'm really concerned with the response from our local legislators, our state legislators, because we had a conversation about vouchers last year as well with them, and it seems that I have not actually heard a lot of people speak in favor of it other than state legislators and our governor. And it seems that there is not, when presented with the issues, they hear them and they say that they see where we're coming from, but that and they don't really offer any kind of defense of the voucher bill as it stands. But then it sounds like they're all going to vote for it as it is anyways.
Well, we'll probably find out a lot more come Monday and this, but do you feel there's a special reason or motive behind this, something that they're trying to accomplish necessarily? Is there a hidden agenda in this?
It seems as though there's an effort to take public tax dollars and to turn them to private entities. So once we take away that accountability to the taxpayer, that money can be spent in a variety of ways, and it seems like it's trying to transfer public dollars into private entities, and I don't understand that.
All right, my guest is Aaron Moore. We've got another guest we're going to talk to in a moment, but right now the clock says it's time for a break, and you're listening to Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota, they have a deal designed to keep you ahead of schedule. Check out the #1 selling compact excavator plus 0% financing. It's going on now until the end of the year. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Here's what we're seeing. Heavier traffic in the last few minutes. 65 south at Trinity Lane. A lot of folks coming down Ellington Parkway right now from the top down to the bottom. It's trying to load up through Hermitage, coming in from Wilson County westbound I-40 all the way up to Donaldson Pike. It's busy but moving. 24 westbound up through the Antioch area. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken has karaoke every Thursday night. That's tonight at the Tanger location. Check out princesshotchicken.com for more details. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
A.G. & Johnson is your experienced real estate and auction company, specializing in residential, commercial, and personal property auctions. Did you know that auctions are a fast and efficient way to sell your property? Auctions reduce time on the market and have an exact selling date. Call us for an in-home consultation today at 615-444-0909. A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction, 728 West Main Street in Lebanon, or find us online at agandjohnson.com. Voted best auction company in Wilson County.
1.5 seconds left, no timeouts. Here's your season. Negron gives it to Bird. Bird for the win! It's gone! He did it! College Hoops is back, and so is Cumberland University on the radio. Join me, John Boyce, in the booth for every Mid-South Conference game this regular and postseason for both men's and women's Phoenix basketball. Conference games are every Thursday starting at 5:30 and every Saturday starting at 1 o'clock. Phoenix basketball is right here on 98.9. Cumberland's a winner.
And we continue here on this Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us. I have introduced Erin Moore, who has been my guest so far. She's going to continue to be, but we're joined by Joni Cochran now. And good morning to you.
Good morning.
And congratulations. I understand you were inducted into the Lebanon Breakfast Rotary Club this morning.
Yes, sir.
And you left that meeting as soon as you could to come out here and finish up on the radio.
Yes, sir.
This was your idea, and you wanted to get on and tell your side of the story, where you're coming from, and you suggested Aaron to come out until you could get here. So far, I think it's worked pretty good, but to not waste any time, you were at the meeting a few Mondays back. Mm-hmm. We've talked a little bit about that. I think the Board of Education people were there. Our legislators were there.
Yes.
Anything you want to, hopefully you heard some of our conversation. What do you have to add to that?
Well, I did hear what Erin had to say, and she's very well spoken and articulate. She's been part of this fight from the beginning, and I'm pleased that she was able to come. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you for having us and giving us the opportunity to do this. Appreciate your generosity in that regard. I made a statement at the round table that was held a couple of Mondays ago, and it comes down to I believe that in the end, while proponents of school vouchers will say to us that they are trying to give parents choice and to do the right thing for children who may be in a disadvantaged situation, there is overwhelming evidence from states that have already adopted and implemented school vouchers that it doesn't work. That children who actually take advantage of the vouchers and go to a private school are not going to the best private schools. In some cases, they're going to schools that are considered micro schools or pop-up schools. And I listened to an expert. His name is Dr. Josh Cowan. He's actually studied vouchers for about 20 years. He's written a book called The Privateers. And he's on the record unequivocally that within 3 years, a micro school or a pop-up school fails, and the children don't do as well as they did while they were in public school. So I think that if we have an issue with certain schools that may have behavior issues or that may be failing or whatever, then we need to go put some resources there, rather than taking resources away from schools like Wilson County Schools or Lebanon Special Schools to fund a program that unequivocally doesn't work. It's a budget buster. Children don't do well. And I've listened to our representatives say things that I just can't get along with, such as, oh, well, some people oppose vouchers just because they don't want parents to have choice, and that's just not true. Parents have choice now. You can choose to put your children in private school. You can choose to go to public school. You can choose to homeschool.
Well, that's true, but there is a cost involved, and a lot of people not born with a silver spoon in their mouth, so to speak.
Right. Well, as I think about that, Coleman, it strikes me that there are many things about life that are dictated by our wealth or lack thereof, right? So we're not all equal that way. But one of the beautiful things about public education is we can put in a few dollars, we can all contribute a few dollars, but we all get so much more back from that. And that's the best opportunity that a child in a how do I want to say it kindly? A child who's born into a home that just doesn't have a lot of resources, right? Yeah. That's the best opportunity that child has to lift out of that situation. For me, it always comes back to the story of the loaves and fishes, right? You contribute what you can, you take what you need. And that's how we all help each other. I don't see vouchers as a way to help each other. I see it as a way to actually separate and segregate and create an even more stark, picture of, gosh, you are part of the haves and you're part of the have-nots. And even in the case of what there is being proposed now, the amount of the voucher isn't going to cover private tuition. It's not going to cover tuition at Montgomery Bell Academy. It's not going to cover tuition at Friendship Christian. There's still a gap. And if you're already poor, that $7,000 is almost a slap in the face because you don't have the other $4,000 to go with it. We know that on average, the average tuition in private school in Tennessee is around $11,000. So that means there are some schools that are more, there are some schools that are less. And the problem with, according to Dr. Josh Cowan, is that in a lot of those cases, we find these private schools are what he would call subprime. If they'll take your $7,000 and that's all it's going to cost, then chances are you aren't getting a quality education. So that's part of what makes it worse for the children who do take the vouchers.
You no doubt have explained this maybe as in depth as you have here, at least, to in the meetings or to some of our representatives? What's their response?
Well, that's that's the magic question. Not really getting much of a response one-on-one. So I'm part of the crowd of folks that we're encouraging to email and call and leave voicemails and so on and so forth. I've actually emailed Senator Pody a couple of times because he commented when he was here last week that he didn't have data that wasn't from a newspaper or a news source or a mainstream media source, so I've been giving him all of that. I've actually sent him several documents and several links to resources so that he can study the data that's out there from independent sources and from people who study it, like this Dr. Cowan. I brought an article for you I can leave with you if you care to have it. Okay, well, thank you. Aaron, we'll let Joni have the spotlight here. Anything you want to add to what she said or reaffirm her facts here that she's given, her the information?
She's given some wonderful facts and information. The only thing I really have left to say on this is that if we have students in public schools that are not meeting the needs of those students, if parents consider them unsafe schools that they don't want to send their kids to, or they're not meeting educational goals, that's not something where we take a small portion of those students that already have a better chance from that because they can afford a private school tuition, and separate them from those schools, separate them from those communities, to where they're less likely to come back to those same communities. Instead of separating the haves from the have-nots, we need to fix our public education systems in those areas. If Shelby County is often treated as a reason for this, and used as an example, if Shelby County, which has lower economic means, is struggling to put in the extra tax dollars that like Wilson County funds for our students and meet those needs so they can cover infrastructure, tutoring, extra programs, meet the needs of the community, then it's the state's responsibility to bring those schools up to the same educational quality so that families don't feel the need to leave them.
Well, there definitely are some problems here that need to be addressed. I think we can all agree on that. How we do it is I guess one of the big questions here. I've heard some people say that regardless of what happens with this special session, that it's probably not going to affect Wilson County very much. What do you think of that? Is it not? I think it will eventually. We probably are, in my opinion, inoculated for the first year or two. But I think by year 3, we'll start to see it have a detrimental effect. And what about the funding itself? Is that a concern? If not now, down the road, that we will be hurting for state funding because of the formula or whatever is come up with here? Yeah, absolutely. And I think our county commission recognizes that the burden will shift to property tax. So if you think your property taxes are already too high, it'll just get worse as we fill the gap. You know, my granddaughter goes to Wilson County Public Schools, and I support her. I support the school. You know, my support for the school kind of follows her. So right now, Stoner Creek Elementary is enjoying our efforts toward making certain that they have what they need. And I drop her off every day, and I look at all the signs, sponsorship signs around the fence because they need money, right? So they sell advertising. When I had a business, I bought some advertising that way. But and now we have there's a fundraiser going on, and this money isn't being requested to support extracurricular activities at school. It's being requested to support the teachers and provide materials they need in the classroom. So, you know, we're even as well as our schools are doing with funding. The county commission is generous, and I've talked to Mayor Hutto that anytime there's new revenue, the schools do get a piece of that. You know, he's committed to doing that for as long as he's mayor. But even still, there's a shortfall, right? And parents are being asked to make up the shortfall, and that's okay. I don't mind doing that. But
it's not to give extras, it's to give basics. So when we're in a situation in which we're not already meeting basic needs, even with the funding the way it is, and we're talking about taking money out of that pot and putting it somewhere else, it's just going to make it more difficult for those of us who are actively involved in the schools and live in this community. So,
we got 2 minutes. Have you pretty much had opportunity to say your side
Yes.
of this? What and Aaron, and you're okay.
Yes.
What do you want people to do? What is you got a message for those who are listening? What you'd like to see happen here? Do you want to get people on your side and flood our legislators?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Right, yes, right. Email, call, go downtown, camp out at their offices, do whatever it is you have to do. This thing is going to be bad news if it passes. And I encourage all three of our Wilson County representatives to represent us and what we want, because after all, it was this community that elected them. It wasn't Shelby County and it wasn't Davidson County and East Tennessee and that sort of thing. We're the ones who sent them to the State House, and it's our message that they need to carry, and our message is no. Vote no on the bill.
Do you give good marks to the county commission and the school board at this point?
You bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They have our interests at heart.
Yes.
Well, the resolution Tuesday night, county commission, and I don't know what the school board has done, but I think they've some of them have expressed themselves. I don't know whether they've done it.
I think it's on the agenda tonight for them to vote on.
Well, anyway, we're about out of time here, but Joni, thank you for joining us late here. Joni Cochran, we appreciate being able to do this, get your side of it. Aaron Moore, nice to meet you, and good to have you with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for Thursday. Hope you'll join us tomorrow for Coleman and Company. Until then, I wish you a tremendous day.